Mr. Chairman, congratulations to all of you on your nominations. I ask these initial questions of every nominee who comes before any of the committees on which I sit. So I'll just go right down the line, starting with Ms. Costello. Since you became a legal adult, have you ever made unwanted requests for sexual favors or committed any verbal or personal harassment or assault of a sexual nature?
No, Senator.
No, Senator, I have not.
Have you ever faced discipline or entered into a settlement related to this kind of conduct?
No, Senator.
No, Senator.
No, Senator.
Ms. Provenzino, I understand that you are currently one of 5 assistant U.S. attorneys focused on DOJ's initiative on missing and murdered Indigenous persons. Can you tell the committee about your work in this program and why it is important?
Thank you, Senator. When I started as an AUSA, I had an opportunity to work on violent crime in Indian country. And as you're aware, the violence against Native women is much higher than any other community in the United States. And so you have a great need and serious circumstances without always the law enforcement support to be able to investigate and tackle those cases. So the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Persons Program in DOJ is a direct response to bipartisan legislation from this body through the Savannahs Act and the Not Invisible Act. And it's to try to rectify that wrong, to make sure we have adequate resources to investigate and prosecute crimes in Indian country, and that we can provide sufficient training to our law enforcement partners. So it's a great honor to have been selected as one of 5 to do this work.
I think that is critical work, and I am well aware that Native Hawaiian women and girls are also have a higher degree of this kind of abuse. Judge Wise, you have written about the importance of diversity on the bench, and frankly, I believe that the makeup of our judiciary should reflect the diversity of our nation, and yet there's some people who take every opportunity to attack DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Places like Florida and Texas, where certain books are prevented from being made available because generally they depict diverse characters that do not meet certain people's notions of what is appropriate, or where certain history cannot be taught. See, there are people in this country who are afraid of DEI. Now, I come from a state where we celebrate the diversity of our cultures and all of the people who have come to Hawaii, immigrants. Aside from the indigenous Native Hawaiian people, the rest of us are immigrants. We celebrate diversity, and one of the things that I should think reflects the equality of our country is to embrace diversity. So I applaud you for recognizing how important it is. And in fact, you might want to take a moment, I wasn't here earlier, why you think that diverse judiciary is important. And by the way, your comment about the Trump nominees, people may not like it, but it happens to be true. That there was, in my view, his nominees did not reflect the diversity of our country. So could you just express why you think diversity on our bench is important?
Thank you. And to be clear, I have made no criticism about any particular nominee from any president. Collectively, I think it's incredibly important that we have a diverse judiciary. And I really do mean diversity in every respect. I mean race, but I also mean from a socioeconomic standpoint, whether people are veterans, whether from a gender perspective, certainly, but also in terms of life experience that they bring. I think it very much affects the trust that people have in our judiciary. But I do firmly believe, as somebody who was a public school teacher, that it reinforces the American dream. It's very difficult, no matter whether it's the judiciary or something else. I think it's very difficult for children to see themselves doing something if they've never seen anyone who looks like them do that thing. And I'm sincere when I said, I didn't know any lawyers and I didn't know any judges growing up. When Ronald Reagan appointed Sandra Day O'Connor in 1981, I was in high school, and it was transformative. It was such a small thing and such an enormous thing, and it changed, I think, for a lot of people, how they viewed the American dream. I just didn't realize it was something possible for women to do. And I suspect, although it was shortly before I was born, that when Thurgood Marshall was appointed to the United States Supreme Court, many people felt the same way.
Well, there are not very many Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islanders serving in the U.S. Senate. I happen to be one of two. And believe me, I get my share of people who are outraged at the fact that I am here. Yeah, well, you can imagine what I think about that. So can you just tell me briefly what your approach is? How would you make decisions in the cases that come before you?
I've heard a lot of cases in a lot of different areas of law. I mean, I was a prosecutor first, before coming to the bench. But now the work primarily I've done on the bench has been in the areas of family law and in civil, complex civil now, and then some work from appeals. And all of it is essentially the same way. You start with a law and you apply it every time in all instances, irrespective of whether it comports with your personal views.
Okay, what I'm hearing, thank you, Mr. Chairman, is that you be fair and objective and apply the facts to the law. That's all I can ask of any of our judicial nominees. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Blackburn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and congratulations.